Thinking about starting a small chicken project, something affordable, easy to manage, and that could actually make you some money on the side? Let me take you through how a 50-layer chicken setup can be a smart way to dip your toes into poultry farming. It's low risk, beginner friendly, and surprisingly profitable in the long run. I'll break down exactly how much you'll need to get started, what kind of profits you can expect, both monthly and over a full cycle, and how it all comes together. Let's get into it. Let's start with what I call phase 1, getting started. This covers everything from day 1 up to about 18 weeks. Be informed that during this phase, you'll be spending money, not making any. But don't worry, that's completely normal. It's all part of laying the groundwork for a successful project. First thing you'll need is a simple chicken house. A space around 2 meters by 5 meters is enough to comfortably keep 50-layer chickens if you're using the deep litter system. If you're buying materials and hiring someone to build it, you might spend around $100. But honestly, and this is my suggestion, if you're a little handy and like DIY projects, you can build it yourself. Use old iron sheets, leftover timber, or anything you can reuse. With a bit of creativity and effort, you can save a lot just by being resourceful and doing it yourself. Next, you'll need the actual chicks. 50-layer chicks to be exact. Each one costs around $1.24, so that's about $62 in total. Not too bad, right? Then there's the bedding, and for that, we usually use wood shavings. They're soft, clean, and easy to replace, perfect for keeping the chicks comfortable. You'll need to set aside about $4 for that. Now here's something a lot of beginners tend to overlook: glucose and vitamins. These help reduce stress for the chicks, especially right after transport or vaccinations. They give the chicks a good boost and help them stay strong in those first few days. Just budget around $4. Trust me, it's totally worth it. You'll also need a source of heat for the first 3 to 6 weeks, depending on the weather in your area. The cheapest and easiest option is charcoal, and about $7 worth should keep the chicks warm until they grow feathers and can handle the cold. Make sure to plan for vaccinations too. That's about $5 and helps prevent common poultry diseases. You might also want to set aside another $5 for cleaning supplies and other small, unexpected things, because something always comes up. And of course, your chicks need to eat and drink. You'll need about 2 drinkers and 3 feeders, which will cost around $9 altogether. Now, the biggest cost during this first phase is going to be feed. For 50 chicks over the course of 18 weeks, you'll need around 270 kilograms of feed. This includes everything from starter feed to grower and then pre-layer feed. The total cost for all that comes to about $148. But don't worry, later on, I'll share some tips on how you can reduce this cost and make your feed stretch a little further without affecting the health of your birds. So, when you add everything up, your total setup cost for the first 18 weeks comes to around $344. This is the amount you should have ready before you even get started. It covers everything: housing, chicks, bedding, feed, healthcare, the whole setup. And let me just say, this kind of project is perfect as a side hustle. It's small enough to manage easily, but it gives you real experience and teaches you a lot. It's a smart way to get into poultry farming without jumping in too deep or taking a big financial risk. Once those 18 weeks are done, that's when the exciting part begins. Your hens will start laying, and that's when the money starts rolling in. Now we're moving into what's called the production phase. This usually runs from around week 18 all the way to week 80. Some farmers even stretch it further, up to 90 or even 100 weeks, depending on how healthy and productive their hens are. Alright, let's talk about eggs. On average, a healthy layer hen can lay between 300 to 340 eggs in a year. But let's be real, not all 50 of your hens are going to lay every single day. Some will take breaks, others might go through molting, and a few just won't lay as consistently. So to keep things realistic, we use an 85% laying rate. That means about 43 hens will be laying eggs each day. So with 43 eggs per day, you're getting roughly 1.4 trays daily, since a tray holds 30 eggs. Now for the income side, let's say you sell each tray for $3.20. That means you're bringing in about $4.48 per day, or around $134.40 per month. And here's the fun part. Depending on your location and your market, the price per tray could be even higher. So that monthly income might go up. This is where the business really starts to show its potential. Now, while your chickens are laying and bringing in some income, you'll still have a few monthly costs to keep them healthy and productive. The biggest ongoing cost is still going to be feed. On average, your 50 hens will eat about 6 kilograms of feed every day. Over a month, that adds up to around $81. You'll also want to spend around $5 each month on vaccines, vitamins, and deworming. This keeps your hens healthy, prevents disease, and helps maintain steady egg production. And of course, there are always little things like transport, egg trays, and other small unexpected costs. It's a good idea to budget about $10 a month for those. So, in total, your monthly expenses come to about $96. Now, if you're earning roughly $134.40 each month from selling eggs, that leaves you with a monthly profit of about $38.40. Now, I get it, that might not sound like a massive amount, but keep in mind, this is just 50 birds. You're starting small, keeping it manageable, and most importantly, you're gaining valuable experience. This kind of project is a great way to learn the ropes, understand how poultry farming works, and build confidence, all while still making a profit. It's a smart, low-risk way to develop a real skill and potentially grow into something much bigger later on. Let's take a step back and look at the big picture, how this whole chicken project performs over the long run. We'll look at a full cycle, starting from when your hens begin laying at week 18, all the way to around week 80. That gives you about 14.5 months of steady egg production. During this time, you'll be earning around $134.40 per month from selling eggs. At the same time, you'll be spending about $96 per month on feed, healthcare, and other small expenses. Let's break it down with some simple math. Over 14.5 months, your total revenue from egg sales adds up to about $1,944. That's based on selling around 1.4 trays of eggs per day, every day, for that whole period. Meanwhile, your total expenses during those 14.5 months for feed, vitamins, transport, and other small things come to about $1,392. So when you subtract your expenses from your income, your profit from egg sales alone is around $552. Now don't forget, before all this started, you spent about $344 during the first 18 weeks to set everything up and raise your chicks to laying age. But even after covering all those early costs, you still end up with a solid profit. And the best part? That's not the end of the story. After 80 weeks, your hens will naturally slow down in egg production. It's just part of their cycle. But you don't just throw them away. You can sell them as spent layers, and that gives you one last boost of income before starting a new batch. Alright, so now we're at the tail end of the cycle. Your hens have been laying for about 14.5 months. At this point, their egg production naturally starts to slow down. Some farmers will stretch it a bit longer, maybe up to 90 or even 100 weeks. But most people start planning to sell the hens once they're not laying as much. These are what we call spent layers. Now, instead of letting them keep eating feed without giving much back, you sell them off. Each hen can go for around $2.70, sometimes even more depending on your local market. So, with 50 hens, that gives you an extra $135 at the end of the cycle. That's basically bonus money. And it's also a great way to refresh your flock if you want to start the whole cycle over again. Let's do a quick recap and calculate your final profit for the entire 50-layer chicken project, from day one all the way to the sale of your spent hens. First, your initial investment. This is everything you spent from day 1 to week 18. That includes the chicken house, chicks, feed, equipment, and all the small essentials like vitamins and charcoal. It came to around $344. Now, keep in mind, your chicken house and equipment are still there. You won't need to buy them again when starting your next cycle, which makes future profits even better. Then came the egg laying phase, about 14.5 months of egg production. During this time, you earned about $1,944 just from egg sales, based on selling an average of 1.4 trays per day. Your monthly running costs, mainly feed and healthcare, added up to about $1,392 over the whole production period. So here's how the profit adds up in a simple way. Over the 14.5 months of production, you earned a total of $1,944 from selling eggs. During that same period, you spent about $1,392 on things like feed, vitamins, and other small expenses to keep your chickens healthy and productive. If you subtract your expenses from your income, that leaves you with a profit of $552 from egg sales alone. Then at the end of the cycle, you sell your 50 spent hens. Each hen goes for around $2.70, which gives you an extra $135. So with a starting investment of just $344, you walk away with a total profit of about $687 after the full cycle. That's nearly doubling your money, all while gaining hands-on experience, managing your own mini business, and setting yourself up for something bigger if you decide to grow. And the best part? You don't need a huge piece of land, a big loan, or a lot of experience to get started. Just some dedication, good care for your chickens, and a little patience during those first 18 weeks. So if you've been thinking about getting into poultry, but you're not ready to go big just yet, this 50-layer project is the perfect way to start. It's small enough to manage, but it teaches you everything you need to know about raising layers, managing costs, selling eggs, and running a simple agribusiness. As I promised earlier, I've also put together a video with 10 beginner-friendly tips to help you cut feed costs, which, as you've seen, is the biggest expense in poultry. Click on the video on your screen to watch it now. And if you found this helpful, please share it with someone who might be thinking of starting their own poultry hustle too. Like the video and subscribe for more practical poultry tips. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one.